Let the rhythm say so. Say so. 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 Let the rhythm say so.
Shown on Kingdom Purpose TV Network presents Say So TV Show, a variety TV with an inspirational spin.
I'm your host, Dick Santiago, and today I will be talking with two guests who we all love so much that we had to bring them back for round two and an update. And what better time than during the Valentine's Day season to have our favorite couple return to the show. Please welcome authors of A Cup of Cuffee Love, Otis and Apostle Despina Cuffee. Welcome. Please welcome back authors of Cup of Cuffee Love, Otis and Apostle Despina Cuffee. Welcome, guys.
Thank you so much for inviting us back to the Say So TV show for the Say So to Grow segment. We're excited. We're happy to know we're your favorite couple.
Yes.
But just in case you forgot who we are, let's remind them, babe. You ready?
Good.
1, a 2, a 3. Cup of coffee love. A cup of coffee love. Take a sip. Oh, a cup of coffee love. Take that a sip. Take that a sip. Take that a sip. Cup of coffee love. I like that, David.
I need one of your cups.
Got your cup. That's right. I got my cup. He's got his water. We're excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the pandemic is stopping me from actually getting that cup from you guys. Speaking of pandemic, what you guys been up to since the pandemic? What's new?
Oh my.
Oh, go ahead, baby.
Well, with the pandemic happening, we are a couple that's we're seasoned. We're a little up there, so we have the privilege of being, so I guess they retired from working a secular jobs, and so we love to travel. But unfortunately, with the pandemic, all of our travel attempts have ceased. I mean, our cruise got canceled time and again. We were scheduled to go on the biggest boat they had available. And then we had a trip to Vegas that was planned for my 55th birthday, which just passed by, David. 55 and alive. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so
No way.
so I mean, the pandemic has, for us, it's caused us to have to cancel a lot of our travel plans, but I wouldn't say that we've been greatly affected by it. However, as you get into some of your questions about being home all the time with each other, I'm sure we'll be able to help somebody out.
Because you can bump it.
You have to give it all away.
I'm sure the new dynamics is challenging to a lot of couples. And they got to, kind of figure things out. But of course, couples that been together for a little while, like you guys, you probably can give them some advice. How would you advise them on how to deal with being in maybe such close proximity of each other more often than not?
Find some creative things to do. Share a lot more. Play a lot more different games. You can sit down and play card games or regular. What's that one game, baby? Bikino, Taboo, or any of those type games, which is a lot of fun, and there's still a lot of activity, going on with that.
But I would say, as far as dealing with some of the challenges of being in close proximity, because a lot of people are working from home now. They're having they're being made to spend more time with each other. And sometimes you find out a lot of things about each other, or you have to address things that you really avoided, and passing each other in the day. So you avoid a lot of things, but being together all the time, which we were before then, but because like I said, we don't have to work a secular job, but not having that outlet to do things, sometimes can be frustrating. And so we've developed this thing where I share with Mr. Cuffee, you're not wrong and I'm not wrong. It's just that we're different. And you have to understand that about each other, to the younger couples, to all the couples out there. When you get on each other's nerves because you have those little pet peeves that you didn't have to deal with because you weren't in close proximity, you have to understand you are different. And that's what I tell myself to keep, because I'm the one that spaz. I'm going to be honest. I'm the spaz.
I don't spaz.
He's the chill. I'm the spaz. And he'll be like, all right now.
Yep, all right, Jasmina.
But you just have to, say to yourself, you know what? And I do this all the time. You know what? We're just different. Yeah. And you married, why you didn't marry yourself. So, right. So that's how we've been dealing with being together and pandemic and facing all the trials of just silence. Yeah. But watching a lot of TV.
Yeah, watching a lot of TV series and things, and reading scriptures and stuff too.
Yeah, more time for fellowship.
Dedicated fellowship in that arena as for, and you can't really go out that much to eat, so therefore there's a lot more cooking going on in the kitchen. So that means there's a lot of nutritious meals being cooked and everything, rather than being out at Chick-fil-A all the time or the other little restaurants, Fridays and all of this.
Yeah, we had to take a Chick-fil-A sabbatical.
That's a cut back there. So that means the pounds came off a little bit. A little bit of exercise in around the house. Different exercises you can do without even being outside and things like that. But all those things keeps the marriage going. Open line of communication is the best thing.
Yes.
To have that, you be in that close proximity, being able to have that open communication. Being able to talk things out and, not get hot, flustered headed on everything.
But also too, I think if you're angry about something, you should be able to sit down and say, hey, I'm angry or I'm upset. I am quick to tell my husband, you offended me. If he said something, if he said something that I think he didn't realize how he said it, because it's never what you say, but how you say it. And so sometimes, like I always say, because he's prior military, 32 years, sometimes he has that military authoritative tone. Now, I don't talk about my past, but having come from a marriage where physical abuse was involved, I'll tell him, hey, you need to shift that tone, babe, or I didn't like that. So you do have to, like you said, communicate and let each other know what your expectations are. You just can't expect a person to read your mind.
That's true. That's true.
You got to speak up.
Yeah. You can get very frustrated during this time because there's so many different things going on. You both have extending families outside of you two. So you're worried about them. Hopefully no one is catching the virus, but it's very difficult for not to know not anybody right now in your circles or anybody connected to you. One of the things I wanted to ask also, or say basically, and you guys can come back off of that too, is off of this, is that a lot of times we're forced into our own space, in our own time. Because as an individual, you still need your own time, your own space. And being in a close proximity, like we keep using the word close proximity, in the same house a lot more than often, what are ways or what are things you guys do just to have your time?
Well, my time, I'll go out in the garage. I go out in the garage and tinkle around in there, straighten things
play
up.
With his motorcycle.
Play with my motorcycle or play with the golf cart, or something like that. Just make sure it's running. Because we have had some cold weather, so I don't like to let it sit idle too long. Just to get in there and start it up and let it run, and play some music or something while I'm out there.
Yeah. And
Despina, she may be in the house. She's a writer, so she'll probably be in the house in her own space writing on a computer and everything. So, but then after I get tired of being out in the garage and everything, I'll come back in the house and check on make sure everything's all right.
No, you come back in the house like I haven't been doing anything, and he'll go, Despina, Don't summons me. Once he gets bored, he'll just, it's so funny that we have a grandbaby. Well, we have actually
21.
21
Yeah.
with one more on the way, 22.
Wow.
So we have one particular grandbaby of Savannah who is very good at imitating everybody. And we did not realize that the kids even pick up on him going, Despero! And so she walks around imitating him. But yeah, I mean, we do find our different corners of our world, to do the things that we love to do. Because if you listen, beyond the pandemic, once you lose yourself, you will begin to regret things. You'll begin to regret your marriage. You'll begin to, become bitter against one another. So you can't, while yes, we're married and we have things together, we can't lose ourselves in each other, that we don't forget that we have a purpose or that we have things that we enjoy. And so that's why, while he said the garage is his place, I have a designated space in our home. I have my prayer room and studio. I'll go there. Like he said, I'll be creative. I'll, spend time with God in there, just to have that quiet time. You do need quiet time if you want your marriage to work. And so we've learned how to do that. And we don't do that when we're mad at each other. That's the problem. People do that when you're mad at each other.
Want to get away from each other.
And then when you do the quiet time, when you're mad at each other, that's when your mind starts
to wonder.
Your mind start coming up with some heinous ideas.
Yeah.
So you don't want to run when you're mad. I think you should run to each other, not away from each other.
And talk the situation out.
Yeah.
If there's a situation, and then after that's resolved, the best part is making up.
Right. Okay.
That's all I can say. I ain't gonna
my virgin ears. Nah.
Oh, boy.
Before
Yeah,
we get
that's
on, before we, yeah.
Oh boy, I'm still recovering from a makeup.
Wow.
Well, that's part of love and marriage.
Yeah, it's part of love and marriage.
Yeah.
You put those details in the next book.
Yeah. No, they won't get details, but yeah, we can give some advice.
Okay.
Is that why you act up? So you can make up?
No, not really. No.
There you go.
Oh my.
Yeah. Before we get on to the topic of something that's important to most couples, Valentine's Day. I was smiling the whole time when you talked about how Brother Otis screams out Despina and he's coming from the garage or wherever. I was just tickled by that, but I was like, there's not a pet name, a nickname or anything is that what you yell out?
Yeah, that's what.
No, that's what he yelled out when he was
no Sugarfoot or.
Yeah,
but you don't have a pet name for me.
No, I used to say, I always call you Despina.
He always calls me.
I always call you Despina.
I don't even think you say baby.
Not
No
that
baby,
much.
no nothing.
But she has names for me though.
Well, everybody knows.
No.
Everybody knows infamously that I call him my huggy bear.
There you go. See?
Yeah, and that's because he gives the best hugs. This is a big, strong man, and I'm a healthy size woman, so it's good to have a man that can wrap his arms around you and hug you really tight. So, from the onset, I've always called him my huggy bear. Yeah, but he doesn't. Yeah, he just called. You need to come up with a pet name.
I'll think about that in a few years.
it's hard for this military mind. And he's like a manly man. He's like old school manly man. You have to know him. You really do. You have to know him.
Right.
What were you going to say?
But I was going to say, but Valentine's Day is
Yeah.
just around the corner here for us, and trying to think of some special things to do, even though in the midst of this pandemic, some things that you can do for your wife, your girlfriend, or friend, for the during this time. Is I know everybody long before the pandemic and stuff, everybody would give roses or flowers or candy. Now they have this thing that's called edible arrangements, where you can physically send something way across countries or states to someone that you know, or have them delivered to your wife right at the house here. And that's, to me, that's something special. It's something that she won't be expecting right away, but then all of a sudden, bam, is there. So that puts a light on the marriage situation or friendship situation, which is something that's great. Cards and stuff are fine and nice, but something I figured out, that designing your own card, making it out by hand and giving it to her, it means so much more than going to the store and buy a written card. Which written cards are fine, because you can find some really nice ones. But if you want to look into that inward side of you and design something of for yourself, and then give it to your wife or a friend, then that means a lot bit more. I mean, that's what it does. It puts a more of a personal touch on the situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, with it, as we started off the conversation, being the pandemic and financially people are kind of strapped right now. I think for the most part, a logical, understanding woman knows that if you don't have it, she shouldn't set unrealistic expectations. I think for the most part at large, women are looking for a man to get in touch with their emotions. And when you do something that is specific to her, not just something you can go out and do, but something that is specific to her, it means a whole lot more. And a lot of people I love flowers. My husband, he'll just bring me flowers just because. It's not it's not a rare occasion. I'll wake up and he'll say Despero, and I'll turn over and he has flowers there. So those things are wonderful, but flowers, they perish, they die once you pluck them up. But a plant is also a nice idea. So for the men out there, a plant is a constant reminder, because if it's nurtured properly, it will grow. And it also, again, if it's nurtured properly, it was given to you from your spouse or your significant other, it is a reminder to you to nurture your relationship. So there's so many things, like you said, what you say when you present the gift or present the card, what makes it special. I recently bought my husband a book, and it was a book that I had made that was our story using pictures. And he always would periodically, before he got the book, he'll pick up a picture and he'll say, remember this, it was from our wedding or something special. And so it was on my heart to put it together and give it to him for his birthday, which couldn't wait, but I gave it to him in advance. And it's something that he sits by the bedside on this nightstand, and he's able to pick it up and flip the pages, and it's a reminder. So there's so many things that you can do, but I think, like he said, the things that you do that have a personal touch, they're more lasting. Creating a paper coupon book, for kids and parents, or you and your significant other, spouse, I promise to wash, this is coupon, 1 week of dishwashing, 2 days of clothes folding, whatever it is that you want your spouse to do that they don't do, but you wish they would go ahead and create a coupon book and say, I want to redeem, this or that, or I these are the things I would like. So there's so many wonderful ideas. I think that it's, when it's more personable, it's more lasting in your memories.
me ask you a question because this was going in the direction I was going anyway. Was speaking about because of course everything we're dealing with right now, things on a budget. So I mean, you pretty much detailed some of the things some of the things that you can get or make or be creative with that. I wanted to know what would you for for the man Otis is what would be a creative way within the budget you would do for a Valentine's Day? What would you do for Valentine's Day?
You talking to a man who doesn't have a budget, okay?
Don't have a budget.
That's gonna be a
Let's assume
hard
you have
question for him. He don't even consider a budget.
I have an open budget.
But maybe he might think of something. I don't know. We'll see.
I have an open budget, but she knows how to cut it off. Okay.
Let's shrink it a little bit.
Shrink it.
We're
But
struggling right
in
now.
my perspective, I would still go out and get her some flowers, and maybe arrange them. I can get just a dozen of roses. Go out and get some baby breath and some greenage, and put it together and design it myself,
that would be
and
nice.
put it in a vase, and make a nice little card to go with it, and set it up. Or either I would make something where I could put some body wash, some different things like that in a little thing, and put a heart in it, a heart card in it that I made and cut out, and put in it, and put it in a clear, not cellophane, but like cellophane or whatever, and then present that to her. Those are some economic gifts that you can come up with,
write at the
things that you
Dollar
can do,
Tree. Yeah.
and you can find some nice stuff at the Dollar Tree and design things and present them. That's not really expensive. You don't have to go to that. Some may want to go to that lavish where you can still get jewelry. You can always go get her a nice bracelet, a Pandora bracelets, or different bracelets or whatever, heart bracelets and things like that to show and present them and put them in those little gift packs. Make a little gift pack up for it and present that. That's something that you can do with a range of anywhere between $25. You can do that. If you want to, you can come down to maybe $10, $15. It depends on what you want to put in it.
No, I don't think you can do 10 or 15 with a bracelet.
But a bracelet, you can get a bracelet for 17. Depends on where you go to shop at. It may not be, you don't want to put nothing on an arm that's going to tarnish in the next day. You put it on the arm and it turn green the next day. That ain't going to be too good.
Unless you came up with an idea.
That.
Yeah.
Unless you came up with an idea to make a beaded bracelet and each bead represented something. Like I said, for women, it's the sentimental things for most women that they treasure. Now, there are some women that are very materialistic. And unfortunately, men, I will say to you, in that situation, there may not be anything that you can do to please that person. So make sure what you do, you're doing from the heart and you're doing with love, so that whether or not it's received, it was given it from that place.
And if you do have one of those type of ladies that are in that direction, make sure you got some deep pockets. Make sure your pockets are deep, because I tell you, it's gonna take a crane to get it out of there.
Well, fortunately, I'm not that kind of lady.
Right, that's true. You're not a materialistic type person, but you do like things of interest, like making a card out, as we was talking about before. Those type of things you do like. Despina's not a very materialistic type person, so it's not that very hard for me to do things to make her smile, or to give her that special gift.
Well, can I say, I want to say this too, David. For us, this Valentine's Day, because we celebrate one another all the time and we do things for each other all the time, we chose to look amongst our followers and to be a blessing to two of our seniors who are not married, two of our older women who are not married, but still want to feel special. And so it's a surprise, this I know will air around that time, but, we chose to do that. And for some of us out there who are in a better situation financially, or even just have sacrificed to do something special for someone, but you don't know who or what, look amongst you. Maybe it's a neighbor that's a widow. Maybe it's a family member who just had a breakup, and they're in an emotional upheaval. It's just so many other ways that we can show love, show the phileo, the brotherly, the agape love towards one another, so that they don't feel like they're alone, during this, man-made holiday. But I mean, every day should be that holiday that you share love with one another. It's our DNA. It should be our DNA for the Christian community that we love one another.
Hmm. There's I think everybody goes through the men and women being wired differently for different things. For you guys, Valentine's Day, because we're gonna stay on Valentine's Day until I guess we go into other topics. But for you guys, you had a disposition or a thought or a feeling about Valentine's Day. What was the difference in those things, and how did that come together and adjust based on how the other person felt about Valentine's Day?
Well, my husband, okay, he's loving, but he's not romantic. I always tell him this. He's just kind of like a caveman. And not archaic, but he's very loving all the way around, but he's not romantic. I'm more of the romantic. So you have to find the two things that balance you all out and give that to one another. But don't expect something from someone that is not a common practice for them. Like, I love that he loves me, but and I'll tell him every now and then, babe, could you be a little bit more romantic? But I'm asking him to do something that he's, like you said, not wired for.
Right.
For him, he's a familial man. He grew up with his great aunt and his great uncle, and so family is what is his strength, which his strong suit. And so that's who he is. He bonds. He's that husband. He's the man who bands the house together. And so I love that about him. And I don't want to change him by trying to make him something that I'm looking for. I have expectations for. So what I do is that I give him what I'm asking or needing from him. And in turn, it's really kind of, in a way, I wouldn't say brainwashing, but it's programming. These are the things that I like. This is what I like. And instead of nagging him, I wish you did this and I wish you did that. And why don't you? I realize that's not who he is. I love him for who he is, and the things that he represent in our household, is that representation of love, the familiar, the family, the all around love. I love that he embraces family, because we're a large family. When you talked earlier about the pandemic and COVID, it hasn't stopped us from having our family gatherings. And I'm not encouraging anybody, but we've already had it, the merry-go-round. I mean, it hit every one of us. And grace, thanks be unto God, by the grace of God, we all recovered. So now we're able to come and sit together, and it's not as dangerous. So we have a lot of family time, and that's what I love about my husband. Those things to me are more valuable than him turning off the lights, Teddy Pendergrass and all that. No, I love him. Love your spouse just the way they are.
And don't try to change them. Let them grow into the change.
Grow into the change. That's good.
Grow into the change. And when they grow into the change, they are more acceptable to that change, rather than somebody trying to force them into a change.
Yeah.
But I learned to be more romantic with my wife as time goes on. And I'm looking for that improvement in that area. Since I know that's something I need to work on as a man, I'm going to try to fulfill that.
Yeah.
That she's pleased in all areas.
Yeah.
for new couples, and we're gonna get on to your strength is overall just the relationship and dealing with certain things. For new couples, new married couples, what would be the first one or two things, maybe even three things that you feel are very important for them to understand in going into a marriage? What would you guys tell them?
Well, I'll give one first and then maybe you'll have one.
Okay.
But the first thing I would say is patience. You absolutely have to have patience when with one another. And I tell this to everyone, and it is no shade in any way to our to my husband or our marriage. But when God told me this is your husband, I was like, Lord, I'm not married to that man. I don't even know that man. He's not my type. God, I don't want him to fall in love with me because I know he's gonna fall in love with me. and I don't love him like that. And I'm like, God, how am I gonna, I want to make sure I love him, like like he loves me, because he was instantly in love. And God said you will love him because he will love you like you've never been loved before. And so I say to those who are going into relationships and you're saying, oh, I wish this was better, or I wish that was better, have patience. I'm more thankful. By the time that we married, I was like, oh my God, I love him. I'm so mad at myself. I wish I didn't love him. I had given up. I relinquished. That was the issue. But I think that for couples, when you're getting married, it's better. Okay. All right. So I don't want to put a damper on anybody's party, but it's better if you can wait to have sex until you're married, because sex is a very elusive and deceiving emotion. When you have sex before marriage, you get so intertwined together. And I don't mean just physically, I mean physiologically, emotionally, psychologically, that when things don't go well, it's very damaging to the marriage. But if you're able to wait and get to know each other and build one another and have patience with one another, understand the things you don't like about each other, so that as you go into the marriage, you don't need sex as your a wild card. You don't need sex as your wild card. You're growing in love. And that's what I'm thankful about with us, is that we had the patience. Well, for him, he was instantly in love, but I had the patience to grow more and more each day in love with him. And I'll tell you right now, I'm about to say it like this, if any female get in my Huggy Bear's face, this ponytail is coming off and we're going to throw down.
My point of view on it, that I would tell those that out there, is that never go to bed angry with each other if you're married. And if you're single, never part ways angry with each other or mad. Come to some type of agreement, talk about it, but leave peacefully. Mm-hmm. Even for those that are married, if there's this thing that's going on, disagreement, talk about it. But don't go to bed mad with each other, because one thing you got to realize, tomorrow is not promised to any of us. So you wouldn't want to lay down and wake up the next morning and your partner is going on to glory and you there, but y'all went to bed mad with each other and you never got a chance to tell them, I love you again. Mm-hmm. So that can be very detrimental to you mentally, but you talk things over. Mm-hmm. Don't go to bed mad with each other. Don't go away from each other angry. Mm-hmm. Go away from each other in love. Mm-hmm. And peace and unity. Mm-hmm.
And make him talk. Like for some women, my husband wasn't a talker. I would make him talk. I would say, stop, because you are polluting the atmosphere. You are upset. You are angry. And I can feel it whether you say a word or not. So let's sit down and let's talk about it. But to the third thing, David, I'd like to say that it is imperative. Listen to me. The three things that they said destroy a marriage or have the potential to destroy a marriage is love, sex, and money. All right. or sex communication and money, however you want to prioritize it. Money is one of those major factors. You have to sit down and talk about finances. You know,
Yes.
that's one of those things where people get defensive when they're married. This is my money. You don't tell me how to spend my money,
Mm.
you know, or don't worry about what I'm doing with my money.
Get very
Yeah,
tight.
I am worried about what you're doing with your money, because when you run out of money, you're going to need money from somewhere. And if I'm managing the finances, that always has to be a concern for me. So I think it's not while you're trying to control one another in the area of finances, but communicating with one another about finances helps you to both be prepared as you grow in your marriage. Because hey, when money get funny, folks act strange.
They do. That's very true.
Your change get strange, folks act
That's right.
strange.
Yep.
So money is a big factor. It's a big factor, and you need to talk, and you need to decide who's going to manage the money, who's the better money manager,
Yes.
and be willing to surrender or submit to that gift that is within that person. And
Let me say something here. There's a lot of men that are very good financial planners. And also there's a lot of women that's very good at financial planners. A lot of times more women are better financial planners than men, the way it may roll out in a lot of cases. However, in that process, God gave us a helpmate. So that our helpmate is when she's telling you something about finances, listen to her, because she sees something that maybe you're not seeing in the spending and the separation. We're all, if you're working, come together. Hey, this is what we got. We divide this, and this, once all bills are paid, you have this and I have this. Or if you want to, hey, put this, have a house account set up somewhere where all the money goes into a house account. And then from the house account, everything is divided out, because in a house account, bills and everything will come out of there. And then what is left over after bills can be divided amongst you two. If you want to have your little self account, and I have my self account. Well, the reason why I'm saying this is because my wife learned me this.
learned me, so
Learned me. Well, that's what I speak,
taught
baby.
me.
Taught me about finances is that bring the money in and we'll work it out from there.
Mhm.
And she even have me, like, she has her savings account. I have my savings account. I got my checking account. She's got her checking account. But we also have an account that all of it comes into, which is a house account, that everything is brought
Pay
from the
bills
house,
from
to pay bills out of the house accounts, any necessities for the house that needs to be fixed or anything like that. The same thing can go if you are looking at getting married. And that is something that you can look at between two people and talk about that finance. Finance is a very important thing in that, because you're coming together where one may be making a lot more than the other. Then sometimes women are making a lot more money than men, and men most of the time are making a lot more than women. But however, it all comes together, and you have to be able to communicate where is our funds going to go. Because when I look at it, where we want to be at 5 years from now, where we want to be at 3 years from now. And then if you're looking at those long-term goals between one another, where are we going to be at 10 years from now?
And we've actually already started our strategy for what we want to have, done or to accomplish 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, in every aspect of our life. And I'll say this about money. Money can really damage a relationship. And so for me, I'm a saver, he's a spender, which is kind of rare for a woman. Normally a woman is the spender. But for me, we had to establish things the way that he shared, because I needed him to be able to spend his money however he wanted and it not irritate me because I didn't agree with how he spent his money. Because he likes little gadgets and toys and all those different things. I'm an investor. And so when you bring your money together in the house account, and that person gets their portion and it goes to their account, and you get your portion and you go into your account, do not try to control their spending or make them give an account for how they're spending money. As long as you've taken care of the house and you've taken care of the responsibilities, allow each other the liberality to spread their wings and fly a kite if they want to. That's their prerogative.
That's good advice. especially with the money. A lot of people don't realize that it's. I always say that every aspect of a relationship is important, equally important, because one thing can't really outweigh the next, because any single one of them could take it, be detrimental to the relationship. Uh, you mentioned earlier, which I was interesting, was, and you guys can pretty much after this question just uh, talk about whatever you want to talk about within the marriages, within a marriage. Which was interesting was you said he was instantly in love when it always happens that way. One person feels different than the other. Let's put it that way. How does the other person, or how do you, Otis, how did you deal with that? Knowing you felt differently than she did at that moment.
I didn't try to overwhelm her with it so much, but I tried
You
to.
didn't. You asked me to marry you on the first date.
Well, true, on the first date, but you got to realize something. Let me explain to you the reason why I did ask you that on the first date. When we had come out of that dinner place, I walked her to her car. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the Holy Spirit told me to say, ask her now.
If you don't ask
If
her
you don't
now,
ask her now, you're gonna lose her.
Mm.
Not go. So when I broke it to her in the way I would do, I'm being a country old guy sometimes talking like that. I said, I got something I want to ask you, but I don't know how you're gonna react to it.
And this was my look.
So I said, I want to ask you, would you marry me? And her response was,
I guess so.
I guess
it's not
so.
like I have a choice.
Not like I have a choice.
Trust me, I tried to run him away. I knew that the choice was God's and I had relinquished. So that's what I meant by it. But I really was being sarcastic with him.
Yeah.
But I knew that I had decided to choose God's choice and to trust him this time around. But go ahead, babe. How you deal with me?
I deal with you day by day.
He chased me.
I deal with her day by day. And I don't try to overwhelm her.
Yeah.
I respect her.
Mm-hmm.
I give her fully respect. She's a very godly woman. And I'm thankful to God that I have a wife that is godly and prays a lot. Prays for me, prays for our family. We pray together as one another. And, that's all a part of growth. Mm-hmm. The growth that we grow together and have fun and do things together. I'll tell you what, that's my number one. She's my number one. I may have been married before, but this is number one. This is God's choice.
Amen.
When you have God's choice, then you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. You can't do nothing but go up.
Amen.
Financially, every aspect of what we have talked about has flourished,
prospered in so many ways. Yeah. So
I give God the glory for all of it.
Amen.
And
Amen.
for anybody out there, listen to that inner voice that's inside you. And if it's telling you, don't marry somebody,
don't do it.
Don't do it. I'm gonna tell you this right now because I went through 17 years of trouble like that. But I did it on my own. I caused that type of difficulty on my own self. Not because of the other individual, because I didn't listen.
Right. And it doesn't make that person bad. It just made them bad for you. Because God ultimately knows, and, not to speak ill of anybody, it doesn't mean that was a rotten person or whatever. A lot of times there's things within us that trigger the other individual because we simply weren't meant to be together. And we're trying to force a piece of a puzzle into a picture that it doesn't fit. And so when you keep trying to force it, of course, you're going to have anguish. You're going to tear some things. You're going to destroy some things. There's going to be a misfit in the relationship. So, that's crucial. Before you get into relationship, marriage, anything, make sure that you're supposed to be there. Don't jump into the bed. And then it's when, because that area is hot and on fire, but you can't live with each other from day to day, because once you jump into bed, your emotions keep pulling you back there. And I'm a witness, it doesn't work. Sex does not mend a broken heart. Sex just feels good.
Mm. It's fleeting. It's
Yeah, it's for a moment.
immediate gratification, right?
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit earlier. We just talked about a couple different things, and that you wanted to discuss about marriage, and relationships. You, I mean, you mentioned love, money, and sex, which are important topics. Is there anything else in those three things that you want to discuss? Anything else you want to
Well,
advise?
yeah, when we talk about sex, sex has to be broader than a physical act. I think that intimacy is an emotional thing.
It's a good thing.
Sex is the culmination of connection. So when you build that connection with each other by doing things, having intimacy with one another, communicating with one another, when we get into bed, it's not immediately, boom, let's have sex. That's not, because of the connection and the intimacy, because of the conversations in bed, because of the laughter in bed, because of the TV shows, or what snack do you have over there? I got some peanuts. What do you have?
I got some meat skins.
So, it's just that oneness and that creating of, like, the intimacy is just sealing what's this already, it's sealing what is this already. And so that is just the reward, the sexual part of it, or is just the reward of the intimacy. Because if you don't have that, then you
falling
be with
into
anybody.
And the thing is, this is another thing I want to bring out because it keeps coming in my spirit. When you with someone and you begin to have sex with them, and you're not married, and so you run into something called soul ties, because you don't know who that other person has been with. How many ties does they have out there, and how many ties you may have out there, and all them ties come together. That add one more ties into the whole situation.
And really,
so
when
you divide, when you play it to the war, then when you divide and don't go your separate ways, that it didn't work out, then you still got all them soul ties that you just dropped in your soul. So there's a lot of people. There's a lot of forgiveness that you have to work with, and that is a big thing. That's the reason why when you get with someone, you want that person to be the right one. You don't want that to second guess it.
Yeah.
And then once y'all get tied up, you stay tied. It ain't tie and break apart.
And intimacy is important.
And for us men, when we see a beautiful woman, we want to run. That is something that's in the mind. I don't know. It's a chemistry thing in the mind there. That, hey, I want to get with that. That's something that's in the mind. But then you got to have self-control. You got to have self-control about that. So I say that
he's
to
saying
anybody.
To anyone, that's right. Don't just go chasing the.
Just go chasing that skirt because it's looking good, because what's under that skirt may not be good. Okay.
Shake your hand and walk away, huh?
May not be good for you.
Ain't no hit it and quit it.
Yeah, because it could cost you years. It really could cost you years. But I want to say this to the lonely hearts as a woman. For a woman, I was single for 13 years, waiting on the Lord, not a man. And I want to say that to a woman. Don't wait on a man, wait on God. And if you wait on God, you won't be disappointed. But I want to say this to the lonely hearts. God cannot send someone to you if you have a no vacancy light blinking over your head. A man can tell when you are not approachable, when you've been hurt, or you've just come out of a relationship and you haven't let go. That's what I mean by a no vacancy. You can't enter here. And a man can determine that. And that's how I was. I asked people, what is it about me? I think I look all right. When I was single, I was like, I think I'm pretty good looking. I'm holding it together. And I just asked a guy friend of mine, and he said, you look unapproachable. You look unattainable. He said, you have a presence about you that says you can't come within 6 feet of me.
That's true.
Yeah. And it was the same thing with my husband.
Yep.
And that made it difficult. While for me, it was a defense mechanism to protect myself from being brokenhearted. Again, it was also keeping someone from coming into my heart. So I say that to women out there who are the lonely hearts. Allow that wall to come down so that when God sends someone who he's chosen for you, you'll be able to love again.
And if you have an ear, you can hear that voice when he speaks to you and tell you that's the one for you.
Say so. Let the redeemed say so. Say so. Say so. Let the redeemed say so. Say so.
If there's anything else you guys want to say, talk about, that's fine as well.
I would say happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. Our love and joy be with you. Peace be with you. And the love of God be with you through Jesus Christ. And enjoy that day. If that is your special day, make that special day. And be happy every day. But not just that one day, but every day.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I would say in closing, David, find something that the two of you share in common, so that thing is a bridge that brings you together. And for my husband and I, it's serving disadvantaged families through our food ministry, the seniors and the single mothers. Find something that you can do once or twice a week that is a bridge, the two of you, the commonality that the two of you have, because though you have your own separate things and different ways that how you do those things, that one thing can always be the thing that you share together. And I would just say, I encourage you, maybe you as a couple can do that for someone else this week. You can find a neighbor, a widow, a friend, someone who is looking for love, and we all are. And you can be that special moment to remind them that God loves them. And that's what I would share in our closing. We thank you.
Yes. And also I would say, remember to wear your mask.
Yes.
Remember to wear your mask.
But
when you're in the home by yourself, you gotta wear it with it. But if you go out, make sure you wear your mask and be safety conscious.
Oh, wait, we got one more thing to say. You ready? A one, a two,
a three.
A cup of coffee, love. A cup of coffee, love.
Take a sip of
a cup of coffee, love.
Take that a sip. Take that a sip. Take that a sip.
Cup of coffee, love.
Awesome.
Right.
I am Alita Canty Lane. I am the CEO of Say So TV Show. It is a variety TV show with an inspirational spin, so that at any given time you could check on and click to see game shows, tutorials, teachings, DIYs and preachings, comedy, and so much more. Say So TV Show is the only show of its kind. There is not a show like it anywhere. We at Say So TV Show believe in allowing the redeemed of the Lord to say so. Say so.
Thank you for your time, and thanks everyone for tuning into the Say So to Grow segment of the Say So to Grow TV show. Until next time, I'm David Santiago. Peace.
Say so. Let the rhythm say so. 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 Say so.